Alright, working on a flash today. Guys complaining that whenever the slingshots are hit, the game tilts. That usually means that there's a switch matrix problem. If we go up into the board system here, switch matrix is these two connectors, these four chips, 2 for the rows and 2 for the columns, and then a PIA chip on the driver board. Conveniently, they're largely socketed. This one isn't, but all the other ones aren't. They aren't normally socketed, but in this case, maybe he's had this problem before. So let's take a look at what's in the switch matrix in common with these guys. This is from the flash manual. If we go down left kicker, right kicker, look, they're in the same column. Okay, along with all these other things here, and along with the playfield tilt right there. So you can see that if there was some sort of short in the switch matrix column, it could activate the tilt and the out hole for that matter, and anything else that's in here. So let's turn the game on and put it in a switch test and see what comes up. Switch in the advanced position, press the button, displays clear, put the switch back in the normal position, press it again. There's our display test. Then our lamp test. You show all the playfield lamps are dancing. Coil test. And make sure that all your drop targets are up when you do this, which they are. But you can see how it's rotating through. I'll do it again, but you can see that it basically lit up every switch in that column. Here we'll go again. Display test, lamp test, coil test. Here we go. Now watch. 44, 4, 12, 20, 28, 36. It shouldn't be doing that. Basically, I got the ball out of the game, sitting right here in my hand, and all the drop targets up. We shouldn't get any switch closures. So if we go down and look at this row, or at where all these switches are, it's giving me actually a bunch of stuff in this row. So we could have a row and a switch problem because it's giving me all these switches here, but I suspect that it's probably a column problem. But since everything's socketed, it's a lot easier to determine this. So what we can do is we'll turn this off, and I can pull these chips out and test them with my little chip tester. So here's my little chip tester. What I did is I removed the top switch matrix chip from the driver board, put it in my tester. If I hold this button, see it says ERR. I'll do it again. ERR. That means that chip is in fact bad. As a comparison, here's a new 7406 chip. When we press it and look, it says 7406 or 5. 5 and 6s are somewhat test the same. So you can see that this chip is good. We know that that one's bad, and if we look at the schematics, the column in question is controlled by this chip. It's a good starting point, but let me just give you a little piece of advice before you start going down this road. That another thing we should check is for voltage. I've never really explained this to people, but it's a good check. These are the two switch matrix connectors. One's the row and one's the column. And we're going to put our meter on this thing and take a check on it. So I have our new tested good chip in there, but note I still have my connectors off. And I'm using my meter here set to DC volts, and I have the black lead on ground there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my probe into each one of the switch rows and columns to see if I get any voltage. So what I do is I put my probe in there, and then I press some of the switches, and you should get a little change on the meter, but what's actually happening is one of the switches is showing me 6 volts coming through here, and you shouldn't be getting any voltage, which means one of the switches has a short on the lamp socket to the switch. Now if it was 18 volts, that would be a lamp matrix. If it was 25 volts, that would be a coil. If it's 6 volts, that would be a GI thing. So you see, I'm getting voltage here. I shouldn't be getting any voltage, like nothing. So there is definitely a short, and that's what causes this issue. So I've found my culprit right here. See this fish paper here? It's not underneath the leaves, the contacts and the metal activator. It really needs to sit underneath there. But the reason why this is happening is this lamp socket right here is shorting against this metal bracket right there, and then that's putting voltage through to the switchblade because of this contact and because this is too close, and that's what's causing our problem. That's why the chip is blowing. So if we fix this, I mean, we put the new chip on, turn it on, and go. It'll last a little while, but I suspect within a game or two it'll be blown again. So you got to find the short on the play field if you think there is one, if you check for voltages on those connectors and you see any. And that's what I think we found. So what I did is loosen this up and remove that screw and just move it over so it can't touch the socket. Unless somebody physically bends it over, fat fingers it. But it has now got a good millimeter distance there. And note, this problem I've seen on games as late as 1990s and WPCs. I once had Indiana Jones had a similar issue. Same thing on the left slingshot, touching a switch and blowing out the ULN 2803 chip on the CPU board for the switch matrix. So this is a fairly common problem. Alright, with our new chip in and the switch fixed and our connectors back on, let's put it in the switch test. There's our display test, there's the lamp test, there's the coil test, and here's switch test. Notice, switch test, as soon as we go in, it's clear. All my drop targets are up. My ball is out of the out hole, so there should be no switches closed. Now if we go over here to this lane, this was the offending switch, we should just get a single switch closure. Here's the one next to it, 43, the one's on the other side of the playfield. So anytime you hit a switch, you should get one closure. If you get more than one, there's some sort of problem. So it looks like we are in shape here. We're doing good. I'm just going through and just toggling switches. I don't want to drop the drop targets because then you got to lift the playfield up to reset them. But you know, I'm just putting my fingers on all the switches just to make sure we're getting a single one. And the problem's fixed. Now, how will it stay fixed? Well, because we found the voltage short from the lamp socket to the switch, we should be good. Let's try a game. Start it up. Gets the ball to shooter lane, hit the slingshots. Scoring 10 points. Both the right and left one. No tilt. Looking good. So, looks like we fixed the problem. Just hope it doesn't come back. I like to try all the switches just to make sure. Back to our slingshot, make sure we don't get a tilt, and then drain our ball. And we are all set.